All right, guys, we'll get into your next favorite discussion. Michigan 26, Iowa nothing. The Big Ten championship game. It was pretty exciting there at the beginning. The first half was 10-0. Joel Klatt said that Iowa won the first half when it was 10-0. I don't know how you win the first half but that's Joel Klatt for you. Eric, did you watch this game? What were some of your thoughts on it?
You know me as a Buckeye fan. I didn't, and I did all at the same time. I'll just say this. When they got the kick return that they almost scored on, I might have got just as mad as when McCord threw an interception. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, goodness sakes. It's so frustrating to watch them succeed for me. Our numbers on YouTube this week have been insane. And I know it's because mostly it's Michigan fans who are collecting my Buckeye tears in their little vials of pleasure and storing them up for the next 365 days. And I keep telling myself, it's okay. It's okay because at least they're giving me more hits, right? But I will give Iowa some credit. I thought defensively they had a good game plan. For the most part, that team offensively has just been a train wreck all year. This is the second most embarrassing Big Ten championship game I can remember. The first one being probably 2014, 56-0, Buckeyes over Wisconsin.
59.
Thank you. We just scored again. I got you. It was painful to watch. So I'm going to be honest. I actually watched Florida State Louisville more.
Yeah.
Flipping back and forth, but yeah.
Well,
so
as a Buckeye fan, that meant more for your team than this game did, right?
It did actually. It did. So, but because in all honesty, when it came to the CFP, we actually needed Michigan to win, and I can't do that. Yeah. So, I can't even say it was good to see Jim Harbaugh back, because it wasn't. So there's just nothing about this game, as from my perspective, that I even really want to talk about. So,
well,
yay!
Good news. If we have some Michigan fans listening, they are continuing to collect their Buckeye tears.
There you go. There they are.
Spartan Dog, what were some of your thoughts?
This was a classic Iowa game, right? It just, the defense stands on their head, manages to contain a systematic, powerful offense as much as it could. But this game came down to two plays, right? The punt return and then the forward pass fumble, right? That's 14 points right there. You're looking at 12-0, right? And that's kind of where if you're Beth Getz, you're like, you're a folk hero in Iowa City for making the correct call and firing Brian Ferentz. It's just Phil Parker, Broyles Award winner. Congratulations to him. At what point is he like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't have my defenses wasted on an offense that is going to be dysanemic. Are you telling me that you cannot find a quarterback better than Deacon Hill? There's not one on the roster. Iowa is the flagship state. Iowa is the flagship university of the state of Iowa. There is not one guy in a fraternity house somewhere who played quarterback in high school who could perform better than Deacon Hill. Not one guy. You couldn't do a Vince Papale, like invincible thing. You're just gonna roll with Deacon Hill. That was insane to me. It continues to be insane.
Well, Deacon Hill was at Wisconsin. And you know what? Spartan Dog, you're not giving him enough credit. Okay? Listen to this. California. From California. That's where all the great quarterbacks are from, right? CJ Stroud. Okay. Caleb Williams was from California, I think. Don't quote me on that. But so he's from California. 4-star prospect out of high school. 4 stars.
Really?
Yeah. Now the 24/7 composite, he was. Oh no, sorry. As a transfer, he was 3 stars, but out of high school, he was the number 22 player in California and was a 4-star recruit.
So
Almost
do you
top
think
20 in California? That's actually not bad. That's
So
actually.
do you think when Iowa gets a recruit, you know how these recruiting services are. When you commit to Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State, immediately you get bumped. And so if you're a defensive commit and you commit to Iowa and you're like a low 3-star, now you're like, hey, you're a 4-star defensive player. But if you're an offensive player and you commit to Iowa, they're like, oh, you must really be a low 3-star if you're going there. Like that's where we're at right now, man. Like thankfully, and you know, Connor from the Iowa podcast on Big Banter, dude, I love you, man. But why did you fire him and hold on to him all season? Brian Ferentz. Why? You had no one better. Like even Coach Ferentz himself, love you, son, but this ain't working. Like, let me call plays here.
Eric, as someone who just spent the majority of the season with the lame duck staff, I can kind of speak to some of the psychology of that, right? It's like at a certain point, like you're just firing someone because it feels good, not because it's going to make your team better, right? Firing Brian Ferentz wouldn't have fixed the fundamental issues. Letting Brian Ferentz go immediately wouldn't have fixed the fundamental issues with the Iowa offense. It just would have prevented Iowa fans from seeing his face on the sideline. That's all it would have done.
That would make me feel better if I was an Iowa fan.
Oh no, absolutely. Do you know how much I seethed every time they showed Jay Johnson up in the press box looking confused as he called his 7th straight halfback dive on 3rd and 16? Like, absolutely, I would have felt better if I saw like Courtney Hawkins or Ephraim Reed up there. But it's just, you know, it's a sunk cost fallacy, right? It's like, it's not going to get any better. They're winning. So how can you justify, you know, getting him off the premises when they're winning, even with as bad as the offense was?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and at a certain point, I've been playing around with this in my head a little bit. You know, Kirk Ferentz obviously has a brand of football that he wants to play. And I'm not trying to disparage Kirk Ferentz. He's had a long career, and I know that Iowa fans love him. Well, some do. I know others would maybe like to see him move on. But he's been there for a long, long time, has a great legacy there, you know, has been a lot for Iowa football for a long time. But at a certain point, like, part of me wonders if Kirk Ferentz just wants to have his son there because he knows that, like, he's not going to argue too much with him. Because if you're an offensive coordinator with these kind of players, with this kind of scheme, you would have to think that would just tear you up inside. That, like, really, we can't throw the ball downfield. We can't, you know, break open we can't do anything explosive. But obviously Kirk Ferentz doesn't want to take those risks. He doesn't want to make that happen. And even when he doesn't take those risks, he still gets, you know, which I call it a bogus call. It wasn't a fumble that happened there, but still, I mean, you have those kind of things happen that, you know, ultimately are frustrating. So I don't know if maybe Kirk Ferentz just likes having his son there because maybe his son doesn't argue as much about it and he just kind of goes with it. Maybe he just taught him all growing up, like, offense is overrated. You're not going to want to do it. Go be an offensive coordinator and just, you know, it's overrated. Don't do it. I don't know.
The shining light is this is the last time we'll have to worry about this, because could you imagine if this game was Michigan versus Washington?
That would have been
that would have been
a game.
Big.
It would have been awesome.
That'd be a great game.
That's what we'd have gotten this year if we would have gone with the rule change that we're going to have next year, and if they would have been here. So this will be the last time we have to worry about divisions. And after seeing this for the last however many years, I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.